Madam Chairperson, fellow panelists, distinguished participants, I want to thank General De Silva for giving me this opportunity yet again to be present at this seminar, National Defense Seminar. I think you have, through this seminar, really tickled our minds on some very important issues last year as well as this year. I think this year the theme chosen, soft power and its implications, is extremely important. Now, we had some excellent presentations and discussions in the morning, and I just thought I could not resist to just mention to you 2 or 3 takeaways that I'm really taking from this seminar. One thing that struck me is that perhaps through these discussions and seminars, we have to move beyond Joseph Nye's concept of soft power, which seems somewhat limited. As was mentioned, there are many issues which probably are not included, and it also leads to some kind of suspicion as to what soft power is. So that is point one. I think the point was made that we should take soft power, the concept of soft power, with some caution. The second point is that soft power is something which has always been there, and it's now being discussed again and perhaps being repackaged. And there was a mention of Kautilya and Ashoka. This is a very important mention of these two gentlemen who were there for more than 2,000 years ago, and they are being mentioned today. Means that there is something which is universal in what they said and did, and perhaps it's time to have serious studies of Kautilya and Ashoka. And I would invite the scholars in Sri Lanka particularly and in India to come together and perhaps do some work jointly, serious academic work on this. And the third point, on which I will also be speaking later, is about technology and soft power. I think if you just look at the numbers, I mean, now I'm coming to the main topic, which is social media and its impact on national security and on soft power. Today we are in the age of hyperconnectivity. That is, of course, everybody knows about that, but what is really stunning is the numbers that are involved behind this hyperconnectivity. For instance, in 2016, 68% of internet users were using social media. And there were 97 million LinkedIn users, 316 million Twitter users, 400 million Instagram users, 1 billion WhatsApp users, 300 million Skype, 1 billion were using YouTube, and 1.5 billion were using Facebook. Now, these are staggering numbers. The kind of empowerment and liberation that it has brought to the individuals and not just to the states. I think the state, the nation, the governments are really a step behind what this social media has done. And there are many definitions of social media, but one definition which I liked is social media refers to a set of online platforms that are designed for and centered around social interaction. So these numbers tell you how much of social interaction that is taking place, and through blogs, microblogs, social sharing services like YouTube, Flickr, text messaging, photographs, videos, etc., etc. So there is a tremendous, this tool, I mean, if you look at social media as a tool, this is a tool for everyone to use. So that's the point, I think, which comes out very clearly from the developments that have taken place. Social media has truly become ubiquitous. And it has also been empowering and liberating for those who are using it. I mean, beyond the control of the governments, user-generated content, etc. So this gives that power, feeling of power of the social media. They feel empowered and liberated. Now, social media, of course, is a very positive development. I would like to say that it's also, we should take it as a positive development and something which is not going to change, no matter how we think about it. So it is there for us to see its rise. And the rise of social media is changing the dynamics of software strategies of governments. So governments have to take note of it, and governments are taking note of it. Most governments have used this new media in public diplomacy and for influencing social and political environments to serve their own interests. Social media has already had a distinct impact on governance. I think as a tool for governance, social media is indispensable now. It is becoming indispensable to all branches of government. Governments need to reach out to people and listen to them. Social media is an ideal vehicle to do so. It's a potent tool of two-way communication, which is ushering in new models of social interaction. With 400 million users, India is the second largest user of internet in the world today. So, after China, I think India is the biggest user of internet. Over 1 billion subscribers in India to cell phones. So as a result, Indians are taking to the use of social media in a big way. Some numbers about how social media is being used in India. Presently, there are 216 million social media users in India. College students, about 33%, form the largest demography of active social media users. India is the largest market for Facebook outside the US. Facebook has over 142 million users in India. So it's quite natural that India and the government should take note of these rising trends in social media. For instance, the government has identified 22 initiatives under its flagship program called Digital India Program for Development. And most of them are based on the use of social media. So social media is being leveraged to increase awareness regarding implementation of government programs for improving delivery, etc. Social media has been used with great effect at the time of disaster relief operations within and outside India. During the recent evacuations of our nationals stranded in Yemen, social media played a big role. So did it in Chennai floods, which took place some months ago. Our External Affairs Minister, she is a great user of social media. She reaches out to people, and she has helped people stranded in various places in conflict zones, and they have been rescued thanks to the use of social media at such a high level. Prime Minister Modi is a major user of social media, and his Twitter following, I understand, is over 22 million. And he communicates freely with the citizens using social media. So you see, there are political parties now who are using social media for their high-octane electioneering campaigns, for fundraising, and all kinds of things. Social media has also become an ideal vehicle for e-commerce. According to industry lobby Internet and Mobile Association for India, the e-commerce market in India is expected to nearly double to rupees, well, let me just put it in $1 billion, almost $35 billion by the end of this year. So that is the power of social media that we are already experiencing. Then, of course, social media today it shapes the agenda. From the humble postcard of the yesteryears to WhatsApp and Skype, the communication has come a long way. TV and newspapers today take a cue from social media to set their stories. So social media is faster than the conventional media and has far greater reach. So social media today shapes the traditional media's agenda and priorities. All media channels and newspapers have their Facebook and Twitter accounts. Now I'm mentioning this to just underline the positive side of social media, because my basic message, unfortunately, is going to be on the dark side of social media, which is what I will now talk about, and which is the social media and national security. And this is also connects with the dark side of soft power that we were talking about in the morning. Now, social media with massive diversity contains largely unstructured data of very high volumes delivered at lightning speeds. No one entity controls it. Often the communication on many social media platforms is strongly encrypted. So the national security agencies, etc., are not able to do very much in terms of dealing with that volume which is encrypted. Social media also provides anonymity to users if they so desire. This has encouraged many anti-social and terror movements to take to social media with tremendous consequences for national security. Virtual communities thrive in social media. Reaction times to events are in seconds. It's very easy to mobilize public opinion on social media. Terrorist groups have used social media innovatively and with great skill. They use social media for recruitment, training, propaganda, spreading of extremist ideologies, etc. According to some estimates, today 80% of terrorist activity is taking place on social media. So that is the kind of national security implications that we have. For terrorists, act of terrorism is an act of communication. That's why they have taken to social media in such a big way. For them, the message matters, not the victim. Al-Qaeda has created a jihad cloud, for instance. For terrorists, new media is a transformative tool presenting endless possibilities for communication and for reaching out to large, vulnerable target audiences. Now, why do people join such groups in the virtual community, etc.? Terror groups particularly. For revenge, for status, for identity, and for thrill and adventure. And social media fulfills all these needs beautifully for them. Now, terrorist groups, for instance, have invented several very slick video games which allow people to become a terrorist or a better terrorist. So that is the kind of use to which social media has been put. Such games help radicalize young minds. According to experts, ISIS has a distinct and effective media strategy. They call it Jihad 3.0. Use Islamic symbols, language, and rhetoric of the caliphate, present the charitable side of the ISIS, present the image that ISIS is strong and resilient, that ISIS is hippest, punk rock, pop jihadist, that is to appeal to the youngsters, use social media for propaganda and misinformation, and use media centers like Al-Hayat, Al-Furqan, and Al-Ithar. So I think they are using social media to great effect to so-called, to project their quote-unquote soft powers. And what has happened in the last few years, we have seen that the deep web and the dark net, which is invisible to common search engines, provide excellent hiding places and safe havens to terrorists and antisocial elements to carry on their nefarious activities. Few state security agencies today have the capability to penetrate the sites buried in the dark net. Anything from drugs to arms are available in the darknet. Transactions in the darknet are settled using cryptocurrencies like bitcoins, which are outside the banking system. And there are many examples of how social media has been used to great effect for various purposes. Some of these were mentioned in the morning also, like the 2011 demonstrations across the Arab world. And some people say, in essence, the Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Al Jazeera came together to facilitate the mobilization in the Arab world. So that was the essence of the demonstrations. Then we also seen how this hashtag bring back our girls, this Twitter hashtag forced international leaders and the international community to take note of the issues of girls kidnapped in Nigeria by Boko Haram. Then there was this hashtag Pray for Paris, which generated 8 million tweets in November 15, following the Paris terror attacks that killed 130 people. Then you had these images of dead Syrian refugee child on the beaches of Turkey, which went viral on social media and forced the European governments to admit refugees fleeing conflict in the Middle East. Then in 2011, we all have an example of our own. In India, the circulation of false images on the social media led to a temporary exodus of people of the Northeast working in Bengaluru to their villages. So there are many such examples, and recently in the morning, the Turkish, attempted coup in Turkey, that was also mentioned, the role which social media plays. Hate ideologies, false images are routinely used on social media platforms to cause communal and ethnic disturbances. Now, what has been the response of the governments? Now, faced with numerous security challenges arising out of unbridled use of social media, security agencies are also adapting to the new age communication medium. They are using the social media for putting out information and counter narratives. Experience has shown that people are often wary of information put out by the government. The information put out by the government needs to be authentic and accurate. So that's, I think, one lesson that needs to be drawn. Social media opens up a new type of tension between interests and values, between rhetoric and reality. Social media is also proving to be a good source of information analysis for security agencies. Security agencies are now increasingly using big data techniques, analytics, to analyze the information streaming through social media platforms. They are able to conduct sentiment analysis of the opinions on social media. This gives them a good idea of how to be ready to deal with law and order situations or security problems. In fact, there is a positive side to it. You can anticipate a traffic jam. You can anticipate the outcome of a demonstration that may be taking place by just looking at the tweets that are happening and geotagging them and trying to understand, making the maps of the messages that are coming out and then trying to take anticipatory action. Governments, short of requisite technical capabilities, are today partnering with private agencies for their technical needs, because issues like big data analytics or even having an infrastructure to deal with the social media, even to monitor social media or do sentiment analysis, is essentially a technical issue, and many countries do not have those kind of wherewithal. So they are partnering with other governments sometimes with private agencies to deal with these issues. It's easier said than done that you can have a sentiment analysis of say Twitter feed, etc. But the fact is that not all data is, the access to data is very difficult. Only very small percentage of Twitter feeds is available for free use. Otherwise, you'll have to buy this information, and you have to also contend with the fact that most data resides on servers located outside national boundaries. So access to data becomes a huge issue. Governments seek cooperation of the social media companies. Now, social media companies with these kind of subscriptions that I mentioned, numbers, they have become hugely popular. Sometimes they are more powerful than the states. And you have to go and request them. And they may agree, they may not agree, they may cite number of reasons. But cooperation with these big social media companies is very difficult. At least that is the experience of many governments. Now, most countries have enacted legal provisions sometimes to deal with the emergency situations, and they take to recourse to shutting down of social media sites at the time of crisis, etc., at least temporarily. Social media agencies are often requested to take out offending contents because, as I said, the data resides on servers which are outside the national boundaries, but this does not necessarily help in times of emergency, because time is of essence here. And today in dealing, oh yes, okay, I'll just come down. Now, let me just 3-4 small issues that I will mention here. There is a lot of discussion at the international fora on these issues. Now, UN group of governmental experts came out with a norm last year that nations enjoy sovereignty over information infrastructure. Now, this is a very important norm, but what are the implications? Do the governments will have a sovereignty over all the infrastructure which is passing through them and including the data? That's a question that has to be answered, and also what are the practical implications of this? So I think UNGG discussions, and one meeting has just, actually as we speak, this UNGG 5th time it's meeting, and their meeting is underway. So some of these issues of norms of state behavior in cyberspace, so this issue needs to be discussed. What can be done? I think some of the steps that can be taken are building technical capabilities. That is, I think, something very important. Then use of automated tools for social media monitoring. As was mentioned, this information volume is so huge that it's not possible to do it manually. So to invent new tools for this purpose, and acquiring capabilities in big data analytics, I think that is very important. So, Madam Chairperson, to sum up, there is a need to balance the national security, citizens' rights, and overall economic and social well-being while crafting strategies to deal with negative impact of social media on national security. So social media is a positive development, but I think we'll have to look at the impact on national security. Government needs to build requisite infrastructure to respond to citizens' needs, come up with counter narratives to disinformation spread by militants, terror organizations, etc., and ensure safety and security of its citizens. And finally, there is a need to institute studies to understand the impact of social media on society. This will help security agencies and the governments to deal better with the national security implications of social media. Thank you very much.